I now call one of your own, Bryson Owens, President of the Student Government Association, to come forward. Bryson is graduating from the College of Arts and Sciences. He has been an active and engaged SGA president, and I'm delighted to present this Student Government Association gavel to Bryson. Bryson will then deliver the charge to the graduating class of 2018. It has been such a pleasure for me and an honor to have Bryson as my first president. I can't imagine a better partner, a better human being, a better friend to go through this year with. I'm going to miss him deeply, I'm not going to get emotional. I'm just going to let it go with that. Bryson, you're amazing. Go, buddy.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Good morning, family, friends, esteemed faculty, Board of Regents, President Woodward, and most importantly, the class of 2018. As we arrived on campus for move-in day, some of us felt excited, terrified, anxious, or even nervous. Hawk Drive was backed up to the entrance while Howie's helpers moved us in. Our orientation leaders in red hats were screaming and waving, welcoming us with enthusiasm. Our RAs were mentally prepared to meet us. The commuters were meeting in the commuter lounge. There were tears coming down some of our parents' faces, while other parents had huge smiles on their face. What many others and I saw as we looked up at some of the buildings on campus were different motivational quotes. One in particular stood out to me. "Your story starts here," it read. At the time, I did not put that much thought into the statement. As time progressed, I realized our story is what we make it here at the University of Hartford. Each semester was a new chapter in our college experience. Our first encounter with our freshman year roommates, our first day of classes, those nights where we stayed up to the early morning just to finish an assignment, the ease of syllabus week, and then the stress from finals week. The amount of times when we hit bottomless lows, and the overwhelming feeling when we broke glass ceilings and hit the high highs. The new friendships that helped us discover something new about ourselves. The leadership roles that molded us into young professionals entering the workforce, and so on. All of this has provided the meaning behind each and every one of our stories. Some of us who are sitting here still have 2 more years to continue to write our stories at the university, while many of us are prepared to write about the next step. How will we choose to tell our story, and what story will we tell next? It's important to note how powerful storytelling can truly be. When I was a senior in high school, I was in a musical titled Once on This Island. The musical told a story of life, pain, love, grief, faith, and hope. The story takes place on an island where the rich are separated from the poor and is ruled by the 4 gods: the goddess of love, the god of water, goddess of the earth, and the demon of death. One of the many poor peasants on the island is named Ti-Moon. Ti-Moon is someone who has a hard time figuring out her purpose in life. She prays to the 4 gods to guide her on her journey, help discover who she is, and ultimately discover the power of love. As a response, the gods instigate a tropical storm that causes a young rich man named Daniel to crash his car. Ti-Moon eventually discovers an unconscious Daniel, and against the other peasants' wishes, she begins to coax him back to consciousness. With Daniel's life hanging by a thread, it ultimately belongs to the demon of death. As he begins to recover, Ti-Moon's love for him grows stronger. When the demon of death returns to take Daniel's life, Ti-Moon sacrifices her own for his, as a way to defeat the darkness that death brings. Ti-Moon's life is eventually taken, but due to the overwhelming amount of love that filled her, she is turned into a tree that breaks the barriers between the rich and the poor on the island. And her legacy lives on through the future generations of island people. I say that because we're all Ti-Moon and that we're trying to find our purpose. I was always told that there are 2 important days in one's life: the day we are born and the day we find out why. That purpose is the essential detail of your story. Ultimately, there are 3 takeaways from the show that helps convey a message about how your story can make a mark on the communities that we live in, and I'd like to share them all with you today. First, do not fear the unexpected, rather welcome it. What triggers the rise in action of the musical are the actions that are not in the main character's control. Timoon, a peasant, was not expecting to discover, let alone fall in love with a young rich man such as Daniel. Much like the show, you'll be faced with unexpected events that will test your limits and your endurance. As we enter the University of Hartford, we had a rough draft of what our college experience would be. As we look back on the 4 years, in some cases 2 years here, we now see that our current drafts are not quite similar to the original. No, these drafts are what's going to influence our next direction in our stories. Second, no matter how ugly life may get, the most powerful tool you'll have along the way is love. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who once said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." What drove Timoon to sacrifice her life for Daniel's was the powerful feeling of love she had for him. Third, wherever life takes you, whether you enter the workforce, join the service, travel the world, finish your 2 years here at the university, make sure your legacy is that of a tree. After Timoon sacrificed her life for Daniel's out of love, she was ultimately turned into a tree. Her roots represented her remaining grounded in the island that she loved. The bark represented her strength to break the barriers between the rich and the poor. And the branches and leaves provided a sharing space for future generations of island people to tell not only her story, but many others. As you embark on your personal journeys, always keep in mind how your legacy can make a difference for the future generations and how it can break the barriers that separate us. The closing song of the show is titled "Why We Tell the Story," and as most finales do, it sums up the whole purpose of the show. We sang in the closing line, "Our lives become the stories that we weave." In essence, our stories are unique because they are derived from our own personal experiences. So, today, most of us are graduates with a bachelor's degree, ready for the next step. Some of us are graduates with an associate's degree, eager to discover our passions. Our family who said, "See you later" to us on moving day are now saying, "Get a job." And guess what? Not only did our stories start here, but our stories continue here. Before I go, I leave you all with a challenge, and that is to tell your story. The world is awaiting us, all of our talents. Our legacies will be strong enough to break the barriers that separate us. Our stories will be inspirational enough to shed light in the darkest hours. Our love so powerful, it will fight the negativity that we may face and the unexpected events that we welcome. I want you all to remember this moment and know that while you may have had help along the way, this is your moment, your story, embrace it. So that when we look back on this day, we'll be able to say, yes we can, yes we did, and yes we will. Congratulations to the class of 2018.